I'm Jenna Miscavige. I was born and raised in Scientology. I left when I was 21 years old and wrote a book about it. My uncle, David Miscavige, is the leader of Scientology, and this is my YouTube channel. Hi guys. I felt really inspired to talk about the subject of Scientology nightmares today because I was watching a video from another second generation ex-Scientologist. Her name is Bianca. I actually remember her from when we were kids, and she was talking about the nightmares that she has about being back in Scientology. And it's something that I've also had these nightmares over the years, and almost everyone who I've spoken to who's left Scientology has also had them. And so I thought it would be interesting to talk about and discuss and, try to think about what these mean and why. So when I first left Scientology, I immediately had the nightmares, but they started out as a nightmare of me being chased by Scientology, like actually physically chased. Like I would be on a bus and they would be chasing the bus. I don't know like what exactly, why it was a bus and why they were chasing it, but it was like they were chasing me to get me back and like kind of hunting me down. And I had these pretty regularly, like every single night. And I would wake up every day having to take a minute to reassure myself that that wasn't actually happening and be like, oh, it's fine. It's not real. I'm not in Scientology. It's fine. And then I think as a little bit of time passed, between me leaving Scientology, the nightmares got less and less often. It's essentially life sort of reassuring me that, okay, it's been a year since you've left Scientology. It's been another year. You're probably not going to go back. It's like my body sort of calming down about this. But the dreams did slowly morph into something that was more like me and Dallas, my ex-husband, were back in Scientology, and I wanted to leave and he didn't. And the dreams sort of became a little bit more like psychological, where it was like, okay, I know in order to get him out of Scientology, I can't be direct. I can't be like, Scientology is evil. Scientology is horrible. This is stupid. You can't be direct because then they will just shut you off and you won't even be able to communicate with them anymore. And I remember like struggling so hard in my dreams mentally with the need to play the long game and not say anything abrupt or not like break down emotionally, but with also needing to break down emotionally. And so it was just so much pressure to be like, be calm, be cool, don't get mad at him, don't tell him that this is a cult. And it's just so weird how much stress there was in the dream. And again, when I would wake up, it would be like, oh, okay, I'm not in Scientology. He's not in Scientology. We're fine. He's not going back. He's not going back. And then, I guess the dreams would happen less and less often. It would be more like when I would do an interview about Scientology or when I was writing my book. Then the dreams slowly morphed into something more like me and Dallas were back in Scientology and our kids were there. And Dallas was like, he wanted to stay. And I was like, okay, well, I need to get the kids out and I need to get him out in order to get the kids out. And he's being really stupid because he loves it here. And by the way, this is a dream, guys. This isn't real. And I have to somehow convince him without strangling him to get the kids out. And now they've like brainwashed the kids and they might not want to leave and they might want to stay with him if I am too straightforward about how I really feel. So it's like almost like you have to use brainwashing to unbrainwash someone. And it's just so stressful and it's so emotionally charged when it's somebody in your family and your kids that it's like impossible to keep your cool. But you basically risk ruining everything if you don't. And then the other thing that would happen in my dreams is that I would, when I was in Scientology, I would basically kind of send my kids off to the nursery, kind of like how I was sent off. And I would forget about them as a parent. Like I would get too busy in my work and the camaraderie of Scientology, and I would just be only focused on that, and I would kind of become a workaholic, and that I would forget about them. And then one day I would realize, oh my God, I haven't seen them in a week. And I would be like, remember, you promised yourself you would never do this. And then once again, I would have to wake up and be like, oh my God, thank God we're not in Scientology. But it was like really, really scary. And I still have Scientology dreams occasionally. But weirdly enough, when I got divorced, I no longer had any dreams of me and Dallas being back in Scientology, or me and Dallas and the kids being in Scientology. But yeah, so now I just like have the occasional Scientology dream, especially when I'm talking about it in depth. But it's just funny. Every other person who has left Scientology, who I've spoken to, absolutely has these dreams as well. And I guess like in the end, it has to be that what they mean is that it's your subconscious fear. I mean, that's obvious. You know, on some level, you're afraid that that could happen. And you, like, on a more conscious level, I don't have any fear that I might go back into Scientology, or that Dallas might, or that my kids might, or something like that. But it's almost like you forget in the daytime, and at nighttime when you're sleeping, your mind remembers how insidious Scientology is, and how they have all these tricks, and how they get people. And your mind, your subconscious mind remembers the things that your conscious mind has to forget in order to be happy. And it's kind of interesting and creepy. And if I'm being totally honest, there's another aspect to it, which I thought would be interesting to discuss, which is that it's not just a fear of Scientology or a fear of being manipulated that comes out in these dreams. It's actually a little bit of a fear of myself. Like, there is a part of me that knows that I could very easily, and in fact am more likely to be a workaholic who gets highly, highly focused on one thing to the detriment of everything else in my life. My friends, my kids, like that's natively who I am. And the reason for that is because that's how I was brought up. And also, I actually think that there's a little bit of me that, like my mom, is a little bit like that. Like this hyper-focused thing. And being a mom over the years, it's something that I had to actively fight. Like, actively. Like, to be honest, if I hadn't had the difficult childhood that I had, and the type of parents that I had, I actually think that I would be a much worse mother, because I kind of had to learn how that felt in order to decide that I wasn't going to do that to my kids. And, but there is a part of me that is like afraid that I'm going to be like seduced by work or something else into being a bad parent and being a bad person. And that is very real. Like, it's no joke. Sort of my strategy for not becoming that way is to check myself all the time to see if that's what I'm doing. I guess in the end, even though there are leaders of Scientology and there are executives who are in charge who are very much responsible for how things are there, there also is a little part of each of us when we're in there that kind of like gives into like the ring of power, where it's like, okay, putting this person down or ignoring my kid or something like that gives us a little bit of fame, a little bit of appreciation, a little bit of, we get something from it. And so everyone in Scientology, I'm not saying it's everyone's fault that it's like that, but everyone plays their little part in allowing it to continue. It's easier to stand by and watch that person get hurt because then you don't get hurt. It's easier to write a report on that person because you'll get praised for it. It's easier to be nice to this executive who you know is treating people like crap because you know you'll get that promotion or something like that. And I got to be honest, that part of us that we all have is the part, and I'm referring to people who were in cults, but I guess it applies to every situation, or people who are in Scientology. That little part of us that wants that power, wants that approval, that's so human. Everyone wants that. But that's the part that I feel like I have to constantly look out for and manage in myself and make sure that I am not doing the wrong thing just because it feels good or because I get praise for it or something like that. I guess what I'm saying is that I feel that an important part of leaving a cult is to sort of just keep a little eye out on what your part in it was. That doesn't mean that everything is your fault or anything like that, but just keep an eye out for the little things about it that seduced you while you were there. And don't let those things do that again, even if it's just in regular life, you know? I guess it would be a really nice thing if I were somebody who was like, I'm a great person, I'm a great mom, I'm a great friend, I'm a great everything. I think that would be really like nice to always think that about myself, to have that level of self-esteem. And for the most part, I do. But the truth is that I am more often asking myself, am I a good mom? Am I a good friend? Am I a good person? And I don't know, I almost feel like I have to do that because I don't want to be tricked by just thinking what I want to think or what I think other people want to think or what's easiest to think. And I don't know if me always having to have this thought process is just a sign of anxiety or if it's a good thing or if it's something that will help to make sure that I'm a good person or something that makes me a better person. Yeah. Anyways, I was just thinking about that lately and I thought I would share with you guys and maybe see if, any of you guys have experienced nightmares similar to this and maybe your thoughts on what they mean and how you dealt with them if they ever went away, or if it's something you deal with to this day. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget to check out Sins of Scientology on YouTube. And if you haven't read my book already, you can find it on Amazon. It's called Beyond Belief, My Secret Life Inside Scientology and My Harrowing Escape. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi guys, I'm now offering channel memberships with exclusive access to monthly Q&As and members-only cooking videos. It's where we connect, answer your questions, and spend some time together in the kitchen. Become a member today and let's hang out.